The issues at the heart of the writers and actors strikes, artificial intelligence. Meanwhile, AI is being put to use in new ways in Santa Monica. Look at this video. The city there just wrapped up a test using AI camera technology to allow buses to spot parking violations and then write tickets on the spot.
You look AI speed cameras, but you soon will. After a trial in the West Country, they're heading to a road near you. Andrew Digmer from Road Angel Group says they bring road surveillance to a whole new level. For the first time, cameras can check if motorists are on their phone or not wearing seatbelts. So far, they've caught hundreds. In the first 2 weeks alone, nearly 2,000 drivers were caught speeding. One of the cameras is recording driving offences 120 times a day, something that Devon and Cornwall's Police and Crime Commissioner says is concerning.
I can't say I'm pleased about that.
I mean, my accident I had, the guy was 6 times over the limit. Hit me head on. He was on my side of the road, really damaged my knee. I mean, probably when I done this, it was a long time ago. We're talking probably 28 years ago. And I hit my knee really badly and damaged it, but I got a little bit of compensation. And that was it. Now I hit, he hit me head on my side of the road. He then couldn't even get out the car, couldn't even stand up. Had to have 4 police officers to sort of arrest him, get him down because he got angry. He got, will an AI camera be able to look into my eyes and go, you're over the limit, you're on drugs, and how not intrusive, but how much could a camera actually see into us? Hi Ant, welcome to Challenge the Road. Great to have you on.
Thanks for having me on.
And I've known you a long time now. We
go way back, don't we?
Yeah, way back with O2. But do you want to just give a quick summary of your position and what you do now?
Sure thing, Richard. Yeah, thanks for having me along. So my career has been in corporate digital telco. So I've been in the tech industry for just shy of 30 years, but recently left a senior position in Virgin Media O2, where we met, and are now independent. I'm a futurist and an author. I wrote a book a few years back, and that predicted how the future might look. And I've been very fortunate that my process of predicting the future, my methodology and the research that I do has led to quite a large number of the predictions coming true. So the book did rather well, and it kind of gave me the push off really to say, well, I better go and do something about it. So I'm now a futurist, a keynote speaker. I speak all over the world on the topic of future technologies, and I'm also a fractional head of AI, so I help organizations understand not just technology, but there seems to be this buzz at the minute around AI, so I help them understand what it is, what it isn't, and how it might impact both their business, but a big part of my research is on the societal and economic impacts of technology as well, so that's me.
So give us, in your in basic terms, what is AI?
It's a really good question, and I think we are in a bit of a cycle of confusion at the moment with AI. First of all, AI is not new. It's been around since the 50s. And if you think about it, really, it is an enormous calculator. It's a really good computer. And it is, by its nature of the title, artificially intelligent. So we are programming it to as though it is taking on some form of intelligent action. In the early days, this was known as deep learning, so it would process things in a certain way and say, if this is that, then the likely output is X. And it's been used for many years. If you think about staying with my previous industry, the telco industry, if you think about mobile phone networks, we know where people are, so we can direct calls to them, and we know where traffic might be. So you can bring data sets into an existing business, such as marrying the traffic reports with mobile phone data and then predicting where we're going to need demand. So the system can artificially intelligently manage traffic, and that's just one example. Retailers can use it.
Would this be, say, I'm on a network now and I'm going past a coffee shop, or it knows I'm going there regularly? It doesn't actually know me, does it? But it knows me as a O2 user or an EE user. Is that correct? And then it might say there's a promotion there. on my phone.
That's exactly that. Yeah. So it's kind of understanding patterns. The telcos are very, very careful to protect your data. So they anonymize you, and there has to be a certain number of other people, roughly your age, roughly your gender, roughly your makeup, to say, there's 10 people of Richard's age, male, and they're driving past a coffee shop, and it can then bring up kind of sort of alerts. So that's a very basic understanding of AI. What's then happened is AI has become slightly more intelligent with this generative AI. And what this is doing is, this is basically, and they refer to this as a large language model. Imagine a massive database of information. Let's just, for hypothetical reasons, say that a large language model, a big computer, has read the entire internet. If you were to then say to it, write me a story talking about Ferraris driving around Monaco, it would have so much information that it could predict a story and create it from a number of prompts. So a prompt is a question. So you can say, in this story, I want it to star, a hero and a villain, or whatever you want it to be. And again, it will then look at its library of information. It'll have read every single, car book there is, and it will pull that information back and give you a great story. Now, you think that's, amazing, and it truly is, if we think back to how AI started. But it is also flawed in that it is built to please. So it will write the world's greatest story, but it might not be technically accurate. So with a car enthusiast, Richard, it might pull some information through from a YouTube video of an amateur who puts the information in wrong. So it says this Ferrari's got this brake horsepower. So they refer to that as hallucinations. So if it doesn't know, it guesses, and it just makes stuff up. So yes, it's impressive, but also it's massively flawed. And when we think about practical applications, the phone example is safe because it's doing basic stuff. But when we start to get into this generative AI, where it's building, answering questions, we've got to be very, very careful, because it could get it wrong. And if you think to that, in the best example, generative AI at the moment, we're all using ChatGPT, and kids are cheating at the homework, whatever. But in businesses, they're using this in chatbots and help agents on their website, which is great. But if it get it wrong, what's the impact? If you say, can you help me with this, this, and this, and it's something about your health insurance, or it's something important, and it gets it wrong, then there's a huge brand risk. So businesses and us as individuals at the moment are in this kind of, we refer to it as the infancy of impact. So the potential's there, the power's there, but it still needs work. If you were to speak to some of these, true AI practitioners, the ones building these large language models, they have hope and promise that this thing's going to change the world, but they're also got that reality. I refer to it as the line of reality. If you imagine an iceberg, the tip is the bit we're doing at the moment. We're playing around with it. The capability is massive, but we can't get to that safely and sensibly just yet. But that's the race, and you think of the Magnificent Seven, Google, Amazon, they're racing for this. And the other thing is, it feeds on us. So the information we put into it is incredibly important. And at the moment, they've kind of run out of data. So they make it up, which is, again, very dangerous. Right. They refer to it as synthetic data. But I mean, we could go on with it.
I use a lot of AI in the business, but in quite a simple sort of way, and that tends to work very well. And the staff are very receptive to that. So it might be that they have a lot of customer service tickets, and I can start intelligently knowing that they need to be passed to someone else, because what tends to happen is the person just gets overloaded and never says anything. So I had a little meal last night, was chatting with some of the staff about some of the stuff we put in, and they were saying, we've put a lot of stuff around our stock and how we handle our stocks. We have a virtual warehouse, and the AI stuff has helped her job massively. But what she said was is that because you freed up my time more, I can actually call the customers. Just that personal touch that we won a lot of awards for customer service, as Active, and it's just that extra mile. But some of them just haven't got the time, and I wanted to make, so it's not that we're thinking as a company that we're going to have less staff. It's just that we're going to make them more efficient in the right areas. And we've got, we've got to delight the customer, not just have a customer. And it's just, what tends to happen is when the phones, aren't working, obviously people contact us, but no one's going to phone us and go, I had a really good phone call the other day. We have to, make that contact with them. So I'm going to talk a bit about cameras and AI, because obviously I keep getting these speeding tickets. You said you're going to help me not get banned, but so I'm just interested in. I've watched quite a bit of YouTube videos, but a little while ago, and I know that AI can be very good. And I wanted to talk a bit about some of the AI cameras that I've been reading some articles on what they've been doing, but also some areas where, because I got these speeding points and I started to really analyze it, and I've got a video coming out just on how many tickets are given out, this type of thing, which is really very, very high. But I wanted to look at the same time I looked at drink driving, and what I was interested in was, is that going to be an area that would be improved? Because I think the stats, and I need to make sure this is correct, but the stats I read, it said there was like 40,000 drink driving tests last year, and something like 6% failed. Now, 40,000 tests doesn't seem like very much, considering against all the speeding fines and cars and everything. And I was wondering, with these cameras, and I'll go through some other stats I've got for you, but would a camera be able to say, I mean, my accident I had, the guy was 6 times over the limit, hit me head on, he was on my side of the road, really damaged my knee. I mean, probably when I done this, it was a long time ago, we're talking probably 28 years ago, and I hit my knee really badly. And damaged it, but I got a little bit of compensation, and that was it. Now I hit, he hit me head on my side of the road. He then couldn't even get out the car, couldn't even stand up. I had to have 4 police officers to sort of arrest him, get him down because he got angry. He got, will an AI camera be able to look into my eyes and go, you're over the limit, you're on drugs, you're where, and how not intrusive, but how much could a camera actually see into us?
Yeah, I think this is one really good example of where the technology will excel. So if you think about, I'll give you a couple of examples. So I used to run the computer vision team in Virgin Media O2, and what we did there is we deployed cameras which are on most of the major motorway services. So if you walk into the motorway services, they've always got these kind of shiny marble tiled floors, and people do trip and fall in the wet weather. And the group that deployed us to do this solution for them were saying they weren't convinced all the accidents were actually real. They felt a few people might be walking in and pretending to slip and fall, and then saying, and putting in claims for compensation. So this wasn't actually initially a safety solution, full stop. It was actually, we're losing lots of money in these compensation claims, and actually we've got a few incidences where we're not convinced. Somebody watching that back on a camera, it could be subject to discussion or debate, or there isn't somebody to actually go through the footage. Also, if someone does genuinely trip and fall or slip and fall, actually, can we get some staff to them super quick? So what they did is they used their existing cameras and then put AI into the cameras, and instead of somebody physically looking at it, they trained an AI bot. So you always hear this training of data. This is what it did. So what it did is it watched people trip and fall. It was trained to watch, I don't know, 100 or 1 million or however many videos of people genuinely falling and then genuinely not falling, if that's the right way around, making it up. And then the AI model said the chance of of this person tripping and falling is 80% or 90%. They genuinely did it, versus their trained data, which said that person clearly just laid down and then screamed.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So the the training was looking, if you to get into the, not to get too much into the technicalities of it, but what it did is it basically put points on a body and drew a stick man of a human. And as that person then walks along the forecourt or the entrance to the service station, it would then measure constantly these parts of the body, so the arms, the legs, and everything else. And that's what it was looking for, to say, has that person fallen over? And if so, it's real, send staff, or it's a bit suspect, they took the time falling or whatever it was. They had to look around first,
Yeah.
So it could very accurately train it. So the training of the data looked at pattern behavior. Now, that exact same pattern behavior is used in factories. So you can, again, see people trip and fall. It's used on building sites to say if somebody takes a high-vis jacket off or isn't wearing a hard hat, and it can take immediate action. And another quite sobering reality is this is used on a number of train stations as well. We also worked with a number of train operators to help reduce the number of suicides, because as somebody trips and falls is a natural pattern that a computer can watch and learn and identify. Sadly, so is suicide, and people would act in a certain way. There was an interesting stat that a number of people will be holding a note, which you might expect. They may pass the note to somebody before they did it, but also they took the shoes and socks off. So if you've got a camera looking at these types of behaviours and you've got staff nearby, the camera can be alerted, not just to see whether the compensation claim's real, but actually to act immediately. The same applies
it could even stop the train. In real terms, it could, if the train's down the line, if that's happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that the final solution was actually watch devices that would alert the nearest person. So it's all part of this internet of things. So if it was platform 12 and it would alert the people that were in the vicinity of platform 12 to say we've got code whatever, and the staff would immediately run. They're also obviously trained to spot and to intervene with this type of behavior. So the two systems working side by side, incredible, literally a life-changing, life-saving solution. So I think a couple of examples there, and hope they kind of make sense, but I think there's some really good things. If we think about driving, it's no different. A vehicle will drive in a certain way when somebody's not under the influence of drinking, and it will act in another way if they are short braking. They'll drive slowly, whatever patterns. And again, I'm sure the police have got reams and reams of data of what good practice looks like and bad practice. Why do they pull cars over? What are they looking for? And then they can train the AI in road traffic, whether it's stationary cameras. And the good thing is, I know a lot of forces are deploying kind of like temporary devices. So they kind of wheel these things out. They look like a generator, and they've got a great big, they look like temporary floodlights, and they'll hang them over a road and they'll use it for a period of time. But it'll soon come where they're in just all round cameras. You'll drive into a petrol forecourt, it will watch you drive in. It can, as it can see if you're wearing a seatbelt, it can see if you're holding your phone. And again, it's just trained to spot this behavior. It isn't somebody actually looking. They can anonymize you as well. So again, the trip and fall outside the services, it doesn't look at a person. It looks at these points of the body, and the data says that that was a genuine fall.
I've got some data here from very recent from an AI camera. So an AI camera run for 2 weeks. It had 849 offences in the 2 weeks. This is not to do with speeding. This is just an AI camera. 849, 533 not wearing a seatbelt. 2 were children under 14 not wearing a seatbelt. 301 were holding mobiles, and 13 were not in control of the vehicle.
Right.
So it's not just about speeding, it's about the seatbelt thing really interested me, because I don't think you can actually drive my car. Well, they might have older cars. If I go in my car, it's going to go ding 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 ding, put your seatbelt on. And even if they're in the back, it's like, so
and we're programmed to do it, aren't we? It's part of our routine when we get in a car, whether it's putting your music on, your seatbelt. When did the last time you heard the ping ping ping? It's only if you've parked up somewhere and you've set off again, after having a sandwich or whatever it is, that you actually ever hear that now. We're programmed automatically, aren't we?